Trump is getting ready to potentially dispute the outcome of the election via the Supreme Court, but that is not the only iron he has in this fascist. You also have what was revealed by great reporting done by The Atlantic, with The Atlantic's Barton Gellman reporting that the Trump campaign has been discussing, quote, contingency plans to bypass the election results and appoint local electors in battleground states where Republicans hold the legislative majority. Citing the president's baseless claims of fraud, Team Trump could ask GOP-controlled state governments to choose electors, completely ignoring an unfavorable or uncertain popular vote, state and national Republican sources told Gellman. A Trump campaign legal advisor said to The Atlantic, the state legislatures will say, all right, we've been given this constitutional power. We don't think the results of our own state are accurate, so here's our slate of electors that we think properly reflects the results of our state. We've got more, but they are openly discussing this with journalists that hypothetically, if one of these battleground states, many of which, by the way, do have Republican state legislators, most of them have Republicans in control of both houses of the state legislature, that they could say, hey, something mail-in ballots, it's probably inaccurate. So we're going to choose what we think the results should have been. And if you think that won't favor the Republicans, you've been sniffing that Sharpie too. So I know that this is sort of new reporting, Rashad, but how concerned are you about this as a potential strategy going forward?
Well, of course, if they can get away with it, they'll do it. Now, every state will not fit the matrix for this plan to work, but they will find a few states that may be on board. There's a lot of political maneuvering with this kind of issue. But what's interesting about what they're attempting to do, communist nations have done something similar like this before as well. So while the pro-Trump people may say they're anti-communist, they are adopting a lot of pro-communist political methodology in order to retain and exhibit power. I do not put it past the Trump administration to not only talk about doing it, but then sell it to the people of that particular state.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I don't know how likely this is. I'm looking as an outsider. It does seem a little bit more likely when, like, it's one thing to have sources on this, but when some of them are willing to name themselves, for instance, Lawrence Tabbas, chairman of the Republican Party in Pennsylvania, says, I've mentioned it to them, and I hope they're thinking about it too. It is one of the available legal options set forth in the Constitution. That's Pennsylvania. That's one of the, it's like there's a 30% chance, a 31% chance that will be the tip over state for a Biden win. And they're saying the chairman of the Republicans in that state says, no, I really hope that they're thinking about overturning this thing. But in terms of the stakes, hypothetically, it's legal, I guess. But what is a democracy if you can do that? If you just say, oh, we had an election and we need one state to flip the way we want, so we're just gonna do whatever we want. I get that maybe I could be hyperbolic. Maybe I'm in a bubble, feel free to let me know. But it doesn't seem hyperbolic to say that we don't have a democracy at that point, that it is just up to one party to choose how long they'd like to stay in power.
And John, I would argue, have we ever truly had a democracy as it relates to the presidential election? We have had this antiquated electoral college system, a slave era system meant to empower southern states to give them more influence over national politics because they owned slaves. So the slave was counted, but was not counted at the same time. That was the genesis of our electoral college system. The problem that we face, what Trump is now exposing, is that our democracy has been flimsy since day one. But we've had relatively decent individuals who were not willing to take the democracy all the way to this point. As you said, John, the strategy and the implication is actually technically legal, even though it violates every sentiment we know and understand about democracy. So shame on us as a nation for keeping around these laws with the expressed intent of doing one thing, and that is at some point to limit the impact of the voter.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you acknowledged, like, we have had people that were good enough. Obviously, in a lot of ways, many of our political leaders have been absolute monsters, been horrific monsters. We won't be taught that in school, but they've been monsters. Trail of Tears, Jim Crow, everything. But they have respected the norms. And that's all a lot of it is. It's norms. I mean, everything from the filibuster to this, to not doing this, that I guess along the way they could have done it. They haven't done most of these things.
Well, most of them were institutionalists. Most of them were institutionalists. They could be wrong with politics. Many of them were racist and bigoted and sexist and everything else, but they were institutionalists where they did not feel as if violating the essence of that institution was appropriate. Now you're getting into a phase in politics where individuals are more Trumpist than institutionalists. So Trump is creating a new doctrine of political reality in America.
Yeah, you're 100% right. That's one of the things that makes it scariest. It's not. It's how far are they willing to take this, and we have to believe pretty far.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.